Let's get started with maybe an introduction. Tell folks about who you are, what you're doing, and maybe a little bit about Maximus.
Sure. I'm Jared Curtis. I'm the Senior Director of Corporate Communications here at Maximus. I've been in the industry for about 15 to 20 years. I don't want to date myself, but I actually started a communications team within the company through a couple acquisitions, eventually moved into corporate communications. And I tend to find myself to be more of a first adopter with technology to at least explore it and see where it fits in with what we do. One of our core values at Maximus is innovation, and I really take that to heart. Here to talk today about generative AI and what we did from a study perspective and how we used Writer on that journey. Just for background, Maximus, we're a government contractor. Our only customer is government, and we provide technology and health assessments and other services to the public for state, local, and federal government.
Amazing. Thank you for that background, Jared. And especially given who you serve and the role that you play when you are serving them, I did think the really thoughtful way that you all approach generative AI was just incredibly powerful. Tell us where you started in your innovation journey.
How I kind of fell into this was I was going through my master's program at the University of Iowa. And for my capstone project, in talking with my instructor, I had two paths. One, I was just really going to call it in. It's my last class. And like, hey, I just want to get done. I want to call it in. And the other one was a research project about using generative AI or AI writing assistants in business communications. And to her credit, she talked me into it. And so that's how we started our journey. So really it moved pretty quickly. We started this in February this year. At that time, ChatGPT and other writing assistants out there were front facing in the news. And so we started doing some research on what other writing assistants were out there. We partnered with other groups within our organization like privacy and security and other groups to really kind of take a look at what's behind the AI. How can we protect ourselves from it? And came up with a good plan forward. Once we kind of researched and gained an understanding of what generative AI is, then we looked at the use cases in which we could apply it. And the four use cases that we really looked at were feeds. So we use Populo as our email communications tool. And one of the components of that is to provide kind of a mobile experience within a web page or within Teams. So it's taking a long form into short form into a paragraph or less. We also leverage Smart Brevity, which is, if you're familiar with Axios, a news organization, they have a philosophy that really brevity is the way to go. And so we applied that philosophy, thought leadership. We are supporting a lot of leaders in our organization with things that they want to get out into the public about their own thoughts and ideas. And so it's taking an interview like we're doing here and making that into a thought leadership article. And then the last one is, social media. It's taking social media posts and leveraging AI to create that and seeing what the benefits were for that.
Awesome. One of the key learnings I think that we have learned from you and others, number one is you all went to IT and went broadly to other functions around both the opportunities and the risks here, and came at this with a org-wide approach, which I think is really powerful. Number two, you develop the use cases independently of the technology, which is so important because after first kind of an initial survey of what might be possible, I do think teams kind of closing the door and internally saying, what do we want to use it for is very powerful. It's a kind of a first principles based approach versus kind of ending up with AI here, AI there, and it's not really strategic.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's really the big thing with, people that are looking for how AI fits within the organization. You kind of have to look at what your use cases are. Where is it going to help best fit within your organization or within your team that you're going to get benefits from? And it's this whole notion of the Dunning-Kruger effect. If you've heard of that,
I've never heard of it.
it's this whole psychological notion of artificial intelligence is going to solve the world. It's going to solve all your problems. So people go into it with, oh, well, it's going to do everything I'm going to need it to do. And then as they start learning more about the tool and the system and what it does, that expectation starts to dip. And they start learning more and saying, oh, okay, it works for this, but it doesn't work for that. And
Yeah.
then they come out of the other end with, okay, I understand what AI is and what it isn't. And once you come out of that, what it is and isn't, you have a better understanding how you can really effectively apply it within your processes.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really, really powerful. Now, another thing that you did that I thought was pretty exceptional was you ran a really tight POC. And as a result of that thesis hanging over your head, maybe, sent out a pretty robust survey to those POC participants. Let's start with how you got the idea to do the participant survey and how you went about administering it.
When you think of like content development, that's one piece of the puzzle, right? Because from a time saving perspective and all the benefits that come with generative AI, that's one piece of the puzzle. But you have this other piece of the puzzle that is your audience. And so, yeah, it might be a time saver, it might do all these things. But what I wanted to understand was our audience, what did they prefer? And so what we did was is we took a survey and I developed three different prompts. One was for like a timekeeping reminder, one was about importance of values within the company, and another one was like a celebratory message. Each one of those kind of represent a general, communication that one of my writers would put together. So what I did was developed a prompt for each one of those writing samples. And then I gave three different writers, hey, just take this prompt, write something on it. And then I gave my other three writers, okay, you write something, but use AI with it. And then I took the prompt and just used AI by itself. And so now I've got three different writing samples for each topic. And then we sent that out to our employees. I have access to 36,000 employees. What better way to get feedback back from them? So we had about 6,000 responses come back, gave us about a 99% confidence level. We had our employees rate each writing sample. We did it blindly. We said, hey, we want to improve communications, respond back. Didn't tell them what it was for, didn't tell them that we even used AI. And then they ranked it out. They used a 5-point Likert scale on clarity and conveyance of the main point and engagement and tone and clarity. And the results were actually quite interesting. And a human with AI won out in every category that we presented. Human was second, AI alone was third. That really nailed down the point for me. The partnership between us and AI just leads to better content. And that survey really just proved that point.
Across 6,000 participants, which I think probably, I've been doing this for a while with a lot of people who have done POCs. I think that's probably the largest study of its kind ever, especially in enterprise. When you shared the results with your organization, well, how did leadership take it first?
And again, one of our values is innovation, and I report into the chief of human resources. And so she was all in with the study and with everything that we were doing. She's like, yeah, go for it. Would love to learn more. Coming out of it, she was surprised. And I think most people are surprised. I've been talking to many people within my profession and also those within our company. And it's surprising to see the results. And again, that collaboration between us and AI and the results that come out of it, the benefits that come out of it, we're looking at going all in. So
I love that. That kind of buy-in and that kind of data, when you want to go all in, when you want to be that kind of innovation agent of change, it's so powerful. Two other things that you all did that I thought were very special: your AI code of conduct and the AI principles. Which came first? And talk to us about why you thought that was important given the large-scale rollout you are undertaking.
yeah, I think the code of conduct really came first. And the reason that came first was all of my team are part of the IBC, it's the International Association of Business Communicators, and they have a code of conduct that we follow. The one thing that I felt, though, I needed to take it one step further, because with generative AI, there's, you talked earlier about us partnering with different pieces of our organization, like legal and IT, and we have a software governance board and others, privacy, that I wanted to make sure that there were some other elements beyond just the ethical code of conduct that IEBC had. So what we did was added another section in there and added, I think, 6 more. One of the big things that I wanted to make sure that was in there, that is when we're using generative AI, that we preserve the human connection and the relationships. Because if you've been out in the news and on the web, you're seeing a lot of a lot of bad use cases of how generative AI is applied, and it goes back to the Dunning-Kruger effect. I was talking with one of my peers about a lawyer using ChatGPT to write a legal brief, and it created content that didn't exist and cases that didn't exist. So that's where I wanted to ensure that there's always a human gatekeeper with
Yeah.
anything that comes out. So they're making sure that there's no misinformation that goes out there. We're maintaining privacy and security of the content that we're putting into the tool, if it's not in our own contained environment. And I'm not forcing anyone to use generative AI.
I love that.
Yeah, because I mean, we all have our own ideas that we know we just put down on paper, and forcing someone to use the AI, even though the partnership shows that at least better content, I still want to give the flexibility to my writers that if they have an idea, they're free to bring that from ideation down to delivery.
Yep, I love it.
And I think you asked about the other one, the adoption principles. I think that really came in second. That came out of all the research that I did for my capstone project. And so as we were going through our journey from inception to full implementation, we also wanted to document that journey and establish some principles. And so what that means is that you got to have your management all bought in, or at least kind of have an idea of what you're doing. You have to have a really good sign-off process, because again, you've got to be that gatekeeper for ethics and security and all the other things, and just reinforcement of those ethical standards.
Was it hard to get management to say, oh, yeah, I will sign up in my company's adoption principles, that I will fully understand the practices, capabilities, and potential risks?
I mean, I think it might be the exception, because it was easy. It was just so fluid for us to.
You're bought in.
Yeah, they were bought in. And I think it's really the culture of the organization that you're in that kind of helps lead you into that path. Again, we're a technology and a company that thrives on innovation, and I think that just helped, lubricate the wheels a little bit to get us to where we are now.
I love that. So good. How did your workflows change as a result of adopting AI?
We have really good established workflows for our content reviews as it is anyway. So from again, the standard that we have set, no one has to use generative AI if they don't need
Yep.
to. So really, it starts kind of at the inception of creating that content. So whether they're using ChatGPT or Writer or another tool, I don't think that's changed all that much. Now, again, I'm all about full transparency, and we've partnered on our study. We used Writer as part of our study, and it was a great partnership throughout that. But I think the thing of note with this, we got all the benefits using Writer during our case study, that we just used the base model. We didn't establish any workflows. We didn't teach.
Fine tune. Yeah.
Didn't do any of that. So we
Yep.
just used what was the base out of that. Now we're going through the procurement process, and once we get to that point, I think then the process flows will get actually even faster. So we had good, strong benefits from using the base, and we saw the time savings. But I think we'll see even more once we build out the workflows
Yep.
within the tool, and then also train the model. So we're not having to go back and tweak with language or vernacular that we use daily. So I think for us right now, we're kind of in this transitional state where we're using various generative AI tools, but there's nothing that right now that has learned the way that we speak. And
Right.
so there's a little bit there that we're still having to work through. But even just with that, it's night and day, even with the results that we've had.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing what you all have done. I agree. And it's a journey, right? And I think what's special with you all is just the real intention and strategy that you have approached the AI journey with. I think was pretty exceptional. Can we share some of these assets as tools for others? I think folks might be super appreciative of the survey and the code of conduct.
Yeah, for sure. Being good stewards of the community, the communications community, or whatever, community that you're in, we just want to share our knowledge and make sure that having gone through this, I'm all about being responsible. I think all of us as communicators or whatever profession you're in, the tools that we're using, there's a level of responsibility that comes with that. And so educating yourself and providing a good framework to use these tools in a meaningful and ethical way, I think is important. So yeah, absolutely.
Love that. Thank you. And finally, your thesis, Jared. So I hope that inspector or instructor loved what she saw.
Yeah, it's I passed, so I got my master's.
Yay!
We are looking to hopefully get it published at some point. We're going to work over the summer to maybe do that. But the thing about this study that I did and the paper that I shared around the community, it has gotten legs. I mean, I'm talking to you today. I've done a few of these in many other platforms, and I think there's just such an appetite for it that I think people are just kind of struggling. Where do I start? What do I need to do to get started? And that's where I'm hoping with our adoption principles, and we're developing a kind of a roadmap in which you can really be thoughtful in the way that you are evaluating and implementing generative AI. That's where I think we just want to help out the community in that respect.
I love that so much. Other than training your own model, what else are you excited about in AI?
I'm excited to see where it's all going to go. There's so many tools and resources now that if you look at roadmaps of different companies now, Gen AI is it. There's so many tools that are going to get there. In the next, 2 to 3 years, the efficiencies that will be gained from generative AI from where we are today to where we are going to be in 3 years, I think is going to be night and day. Paul Rotzer, and I've gone through his piloting AI in marketing, that course. He's got a great line, and I'm not going to do it justice, but communicators that are not using AI today are going to be really just left behind tomorrow. Because if you're not looking at generative AI and the use cases that you have to where you can apply it, there's so much happening in this space that you have to keep up on what's happening.
Yep. To quote Garrett on our team, the learning starts when you start. So you all have done that thanks to you, and congrats to everything you've done at Maximus, Jared.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.